One of the things they say in this is that you were untruthful. Do you want to comment about that?
Sierra, please don't do that. Please don't do that. I gave you an answer.
This morning, I started receiving messages that Chase Lyday resigned from his role as executive director of the Indiana School Resource Officers Association. Is this unusual? We found most cases like this, 80%, are filed by this point.
You want somebody held accountable, even if it's your brother.
Even if it's my brother.
Took our questions to IMPD.
It's been a month. Why no arrest?
But experts tell us there are a few possibilities, like when your phone is connected. Modern cars also have lots of sensors and cameras like this. This site would only show us if the board took action against his license.
Shouldn't that be a sign that this is a legit group if they're a registered nonprofit?
Senator Glick, can we just have you answer one question about what type of consequences do you think a woman or girl should face if they are found to have lied about rape or incest?
I think that's a question and an answer for another day.
Parents and students look to school resource officers to teach kids about fairness, honesty, and truthfulness.
But tonight, 13 Investigates reporter Cierra Putman has uncovered a story about a former SRO accused of not telling the truth.
And the man in question is currently a local school board member, and he's the executive director of a group that trains school resource officers across the state, meaning this man makes decisions that impact thousands of Indiana school children.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
In May, we attended this Decatur school board meeting.
All students, K through 12.
The focus, school safety, a key issue for board member Chase Lyday, a former school resource officer. 13 Investigates learned he's accused of not telling the truth repeatedly about his law enforcement work.
I'm not going to do a lot of that.
We were hoping to schedule a sit-down interview with Lyday, only approaching him after months of trying to pin down the time to discuss why the Hendricks County prosecutor put Lyday on this list of officers considered to be untruthful. Legal and law enforcement experts tell us that's an unusual move.
Is that a big deal?
It is a big deal. You get caught lying once. How can we ever use you again? What can we use you for? I can't use you as a traffic officer to make a drunk driving arrest. I can't use you as a detective to testify in a criminal case because you're a liar.
Chase Lyday is on the school board, but he's also the executive director of the Indiana School Resource Officers Association, which trains school resource officers around the state. And he used to be the police chief for Avon Public Schools before he resigned in October while under investigation. 13 Investigates obtained these documents that show Avon Police and the county prosecutor found Lyday negatively affected investigations, lied, and failed to disclose past discipline. One of the most concerning issues dates back to 2018. As a Marion County Sheriff's Reserve deputy, Lyday was accused of failing to check on 5 sex offenders for months. His supervising lieutenant wrote Lyday was misleading and untruthful. During nearly 6 years with the Sheriff's Department, records show he received at least 4 written disciplinary actions and a total of 41 days suspended. But about 2 years later, when he was applying for the chief position with Avon Schools, his file shows he did not disclose all of those issues. The Avon Police Department sent this report to the prosecutor's office, stating it found Lyday falsely answered more than a dozen questions in his personal history statement, including questions about lying at work and falsifying documents. The Avon police chief wrote, Lyday went to great lengths to avoid the discovery of his disciplinary history, including having a friend and coworker pretend to be his former supervisor, records show. You may be wondering why the department didn't know about this back in 2020 when Lyday was hired. Well, it turns out Avon Police did do a background check, but they didn't have access to his disciplinary history because no one was required to share it. State law allowed police departments to keep records like these to themselves, but that changed in 2021 with a new law, and Avon Police were able to use it to get these records for its investigation. And that's a good thing, according to the 3 law enforcement and legal experts 13 Investigates consulted. Robert Gerard is a professor at Indiana State University School of Criminology and Security Studies.
Do you think it was fair to put Chase Lyday on this list?
Well, from the documents I read, there were some issues that came up where full disclosure was not made.
Todd Salee and David Staples are both defense attorneys. They say knowing if an officer has been untruthful could be important for a client's defense.
That jumped off the page at me to see another officer say, we're accusing this officer of being dishonest.
Salee says the issue with the sex offenders was most alarming.
That jumped off the page at me as being very concerning.
He thinks prosecutors and police should review every case Lyde was part of.
Both going forward if those cases are still pending, but also retroactively.
To verify that no one was wrongly punished or prosecuted because of him. They do commend Avon Police and the Hendricks County prosecutor for taking action, flagging Lyde as an untruthful officer. Again, allegations we wanted to talk to him about, which takes us back to that school board meeting.
Why aren't you going to do an on-camera interview?
Last fall, Lyde ran on a promise to hold everyone accountable.
What about the facts? Because one of the things they say in this is that you were untruthful. Do you want to comment about that?
Sierra, please don't do that. Please don't do that. I gave you an answer.
Okay.
I gave you an answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
No sit down to discuss the allegations or to answer questions about 3 missing police-issued weapons, a taser, Glock 43, and Sig Sauer rifle. This police report shows that Lyde reported them stolen on November 1st, 1 week before Election Day, when he won his seat on the school board by just 1 vote. At this point, Lyde is no longer working as a law enforcement officer, but he does still hold those key positions that still impact school safety. This is the statement that he sent to us in part. He did not address the specific allegations, but did write he is proud of his career in law enforcement and the impact he made. You can read his full statement and all the allegations against him on our website right now. Just look for the story in the 13 Investigates section. Cierra Putman, 13 Investigates. As you can imagine, the wait is excruciating for Harmony's family. So we wanted to know, is this unusual? We found most cases like this, 80%, are filed by this point, but some investigations take months or even years longer. This bright-eyed baby girl was on this earth for just 7 months. Harmony Jones's family will remember this smile forever and fight for her justice for as long as it takes.
It's just crazy because they so innocent.
Ariana is Harmony's aunt on her father's side. 13 Investigates traveled to Gary in February to speak with her.
It's 7-month-old, not breathing.
A month earlier, paramedics rushed to this Indianapolis apartment where the baby girl was unresponsive. Her death ruled a homicide. She died from blunt force trauma. The only other people in her home at the time, her twin brother and 4 adults.
A 7-month-old baby is there. How is nobody getting charged?
Shaughnessy Terrell is a former Marion County prosecutor. She says that's a valid question, but you do not want to rush an investigation.
The only thing worse than a dead baby is a flawed police investigation.
She says child fatality cases are different. The victims can't speak for themselves. Investigators have to rely heavily on the testimony of adults who are sometimes also suspects. Even with those obstacles, 13 Investigates learned the vast majority of those cases are filed within a year. We reviewed 43 Marion County cases filed since 2015. 83% had charges in 6 months or less.
You know, I think everyone's heard the phrase, justice delayed is justice denied. Cases typically don't get better as time goes by.
Madison County Prosecutor Rodney Cummings agrees.
It can take time. I would say if the police don't have the information they need by now, they're not likely to get it.
Unless somebody talks, and Cummings tells 13 Investigates that does sometimes happen. But if an investigator cannot prove a murder, there is usually another charging option, neglect. For example, there were 4 adults at the home when Harmony died: her mother, father, maternal aunt, and grandmother.
If you have 2 parents that are in a house when a child is killed and they're not saying anything, they need to be charged with a crime.
Why do you think that's important?
Because the babies can't protect themselves.
While neglect is a lesser charge, it's not a slap on the wrist. Convictions can lead to decades behind bars.
You know, those are tough cases, but we try them. If they're going to be set free, a jury's going to have to do it.
Another fact that may strengthen Harmony's case, last June, her femur was broken. She was 1 month old.
Obviously, it's a huge red flag.
A police report says the parents didn't have a story as to how it happened. No one was charged, but the state did remove both babies from the home. They were returned in December. 12 days later, Harmony died.
Well, I think that everyone is going to do whatever they can to try to make sure that whomever is responsible for killing this child is brought to justice.
Ariana hopes that happens sooner than later.
So that we can get justice and peace for my niece.
13 Investigates confirmed IMPD gave the prosecutor's office an update in May, but so far, no charges. Police are still investigating. We did ask the Marion County Prosecutor's Office to sit down with us for this story. Our request was declined, but the office did share those cases we reviewed. Cierra Putman, 13 Investigates.
And for somebody to come in, pretend that they're going to help us.
Vivian Collado has her hands full. A single mom of 3 kids with special needs. She thought she found a new resource to help make ends meet.
Really? I was like, they're helping people like us.
She applied for help through this website, claiming to be the Aaron Family Foundation. The site promised grants for the elderly and families with special needs. Another mom who says she was approved for a grant sent her the link. Vivian shared these messages with 13 Investigates, showing she was approved for $1,400. She waited and waited, but the money never came.
They would have paid my rent and a couple of my bills, and we would have been okay. But now we're behind.
No help. Instead, her son's Social Security check was rerouted to a different account. She caught it quickly after one check. This letter shows Social Security is investigating the fraud. Vivian realized she gave the website all the information a person would need to take the money.
The pain that they just caused me, I wouldn't wish that on nobody.
Vivian is not alone. Last year, the FBI reported nearly 12,000 Hoosiers lost money to internet scams. Nationwide, Americans lost $27 billion over the last 5 years. We had 2 cybersecurity experts review the site. Both say they understand why Vivian thought this seemed real. At first look, there are no glaring spelling errors, and it uses the HTTPS prefix, showing the site is secure. The experts spotted several issues that combined made them ask questions, like why these social media links don't take you anywhere.
Anything that you click on keeps you within the website.
Even the phone number listed didn't work. Vivian thought she did her due diligence, even finding that the IRS lists the Aaron Family Foundation as a nonprofit. Shouldn't that be a sign that this is a legit group if they're a registered nonprofit?
Yeah, that's very tricky. That is an indicator that you need to look for, but it's not an absolute.
There is an Aaron Family Foundation, but when 13 Investigates reviewed its tax returns, the group reported giving money only to churches and organizations, not individuals. We tracked down the real Aaron family, and they told us this site is fake, even though it uses some real information.
This is the person that supposedly I was talking to.
The website Vivian used has pictures of people reportedly in key positions. We did a reverse image search. Turns out the people are real, but they do not work with this website, and these are not their real names.
Obviously, a very big indicator red flag.
13 Investigates discovered the majority work for a cancer institute. The man Vivian thought she was talking to works at a university. After we reached out, he contacted the site and his picture disappeared. The same happened when we contacted several companies whose logos were also on the site. Even with all of those red flags, the website Vivian used still shows up as a top result in some Google searches. Asari thinks it's time lawmakers consider legislation that would put more responsibility on the government and businesses like web providers, hosts, and search engines to better verify these sites.
You best believe that if Google could be held accountable for this site showing up in their search, that they would find a way to solve it too.
13 Investigates did reach out to Google. It doesn't comment on specific sites. It did say it blocks 40 billion pages of spam and malicious content every day, but it doesn't catch everything, which is why Vivian wants to warn others.
It seemed real. But I guess, when you're hopeful, you want it to be real.
Vivian says this experience will make her more cautious in the future. Our experts say as scammers get smarter and new technology emerges, it's harder to tell real from fake.
Our 13 Investigates reporter Cierra Putman joins us in studio tonight. And Cierra, you learned that cases are skyrocketing across the country and here in Indiana.
And criminals, Scott, are now specifically targeting teen boys. While working on this report, I've been surprised by how many people, even in our newsroom, tell me they know of families dealing with this issue right now. This Midwest town is blessed with natural beauty, great views, and calming waters. But we came to learn about a boy.
His hair looks a little red there.
It does.
I always thought for a minute he might have red hair.
Jennifer Buda and John DeMay's firstborn, Jordan. These are baby photos. Jordan would grow into a handsome high school senior, an athlete, college bound. But there are no more pictures after spring 2022.
Jordan had texted me at 3:41 in the morning and said, "Mother, I love you."
It was his last. The 17-year-old died by suicide.
I found him in his bed.
Did you have any idea why this happened?
None. Yeah, it was complete shock. I think I even said, "Why, Jordan?"
Answers came the next day. Jordan's girlfriend reported someone had just sent her a nude picture of him.
I mean, it changed everything.
The first clue, Jordan was a victim of financial sextortion, one of a growing number of boys and young men coerced into sending inappropriate photos, then blackmailed for money. Jordan lived here in Marquette, Michigan, but we also know of cases where young men died in Ohio, Mississippi, and even California. Jordan and James Woods were two of the more than a dozen boys the FBI says took their lives in 2022 because of sextortion.
They sent him over 200 messages antagonizing him, tormenting him.
Indiana's Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force receives about 43 sextortion tips each month. Almost all the victims are boys.
Is it a big issue?
It's a major issue, specifically involving kids here in Indiana and involving suspects here in Indiana who are preying on children in this state and outside the state of Indiana.
Nationwide last year, there were at least 3,000 victims. Now, a warning for parents from federal and local law enforcement.
Please take a look at your kids' phones.
Go ahead and have a seat in the middle two sections.
Indiana schools are even talking about it.
Never be too ashamed to talk to a safe adult.
In Mooresville, the sextortion conversation starts in 6th grade.
You know, as a parent and as an administrator, I really feel that it's important for them to know this information.
In Indiana and across the country, reports of this crime are up, but Jordan's story is different. Investigators had evidence.
We were able to get the IP address and basically follow the crumbs.
They led to Nigeria. 3 men face charges. 2 have been extradited to the U.S. According to Sheriff Greg Zybert, it's the first time that's ever happened. This is how the trap is set. Predators first research the victim, then reach out with a hacked or fake girl's account. The Danny.Roberts Instagram account contacted Jordan.
At one point, she asked him to send a picture, and he said, "Is this a scam?" And no, here's a picture of me.
Jordan sent a pic. At 1:23 a.m., he got this message. "I have screenshot all your followers and tags. Can send this nudes to everyone. Cooperate with me and I won't expose you." 3 more messages. Then Jordan asks, how much? $1,000.
They set a timer, so he had to do things within a certain period of time, or else, as an adult, that's a lot. As a kid in the middle of the night, alone in the dark, that is so scary to me.
Jordan could only give $300. The account operators kept pushing. Desperate, the teen messaged, "I'm killing myself right now because of you." 4 response messages. "Good. Do that fast or I'll make you do it. I swear to God." It all happened in about 3.5 hours.
In our case, they tried to kill Jordan, so they were pushing that.
The day after Jordan died, Court documents say the same account told a 21-year-old, "I will make you commit suicide." This one group reportedly had dozens of victims.
Over 100 victims.
I think it was 130 something total.
And arrest and charges are unusual. What happened to James is much more typical. His family is still waiting for someone to be held accountable.
What would you do in that situation?
I would block him.
You would block him?
Experts say blocking is the right thing to do. That's what Jordan's girlfriend did and why there's now a federal case. Blocking lets you save the evidence police need to track down the criminals. Of course, also tell a trusted adult. And if you're that trusted adult, keep the conversation going. Kids make mistakes, even when you think they know better.
I think it happens so quickly that they don't even see it coming.
Jordan and James's families both want their stories to serve as a warning and reassurance for the next victim. A reminder that even if waves of vile messages come, help is out there. If you take one thing away from this story, it's block, block, block. Because if the scammers do it first, they can actually delete key evidence.
And you're learning from Jordan's family that they are getting messages from families all over, aren't they?
In different states and in different countries. Right now on our website, we have key resources to help you start this conversation with your kids. And tomorrow morning on Sunrise, we'll dig more into what schools are talking to your kids about and show you a tool that can help if your kid gets caught in this trap.
This is such an important topic for families to discuss.
It
Cierra
really is.
Putman, thanks.